Hey, welcome to Hipster Codes. This is Hipster GW, Hipster George Washington. So I wanted to go over something little unique today. So I did this in a project a long time ago. This is not the project I'm referring to, where you have some sort of like a progress bar, but then whenever I'm clicking E, I'm increasing the progress bar over this little square here, whatever you want it to be, an enemy, something that you click. It doesn't really matter. The goal is like, what if you wanted the progress bar color to change? I think the reason I originally had it in my last one is like, as you get closer to death, maybe you want it to be red. And as you get closer to life, maybe you want it to be green or vice versa, or whatever the colors are. How would you go about changing the actual colors on a progress bar like this? Just for a little bit of context, I'm just in a default third-person character setup. This little square is called the blueprint clicker thingy. All it does is basically whenever I run over the overlap sphere, it makes it so I can click it, and it makes it so that you can see the widget, vice versa. Whenever you exit the overlap sphere, then whenever you add it, you just simply add to the progress bar. That's all it is, and then it just updates the widget over top of it. Pretty straightforward. And then on the widget itself, in order to actually update the progress bar, you have this update progress bar event that I created myself, where it takes this progress bar within the widget, just sets the percent. But there's another value that we can set here. We can set this fill color and opacity here. So we could just set it here, but that doesn't help if we set it to a different color here. It's just gonna still be the same color over and over again, no matter what. We want it to change, so what we could do is select two different colors is the first way to do it. And so let's go ahead and duplicate our progress bar. This is just a link to the actual progress bar on our canvas. Let's go here and let's do set, what is it called? Set fill color and opacity. Set fill color and opacity. Let's use the function. And then you can see we can execute this here and we can change the color. So we can just change it from red to green on the very first try. And you'll see this is actually going to see how it's green. Oh, I guess it just runs it right off at the beginning because I have a function right here that runs it right on the very first frame. Let's change this color to be some sort of a lerp node. So it's like some sort of like an interp2 node. The one that I found that works is this one. Actually, I haven't tried this one. I don't know if this one matters. Oh, it's the same thing. So you just use HSV values versus RGB values, I think is the difference. So let's do lerp, and then we're going to do linear color. And so then what you have is essentially between 0 and 1, you're going to go from A to B. So A is 0, B is 1. Luckily, the percentage itself already goes from 0 to 1, and I already took this progress bar and just clamped it at 1. Actually, I didn't clamp it at 1, but it doesn't matter. It just goes to 1. It doesn't matter if it goes any higher. So we can simply just plug this in. Now, your setup's going to be different, but for my setup, we're going to plug this in. So we're getting the 0 to 1 float value. And then we need to select our two colors. So 0, we can make 0 be red and 1 be green. And you're going to see this is going to work right out of the gate. So I'm going to go over. It starts, and it started at red, but notice it's turning orange. Then we click it and it turns green. Now, I was trying to think of different ways you would want to clamp this value or somehow make this value a little bit different so that it isn't, so that you don't get perfect green until you're right at 1. You want to get perfect green probably at like 0.9 or 0.8, and the same for red. As you get closer to death, you probably want it to be like 0.1 or 0.2, whatever the value is that you choose. But also, there are certain times where this is going to be really cool. But you know what? Maybe instead of having it transition the colors no matter perfectly linearly, maybe we want to just select 2 or 3 colors that we wanted to select from. So we could actually use instead, let's go ahead and unpin this. We can just use a select color node. You can use the select node, but then you have to figure out what you're going to plug in here. I just like to use the select color node. And it's going to let you choose a Boolean. So it's going to pick A or B. I think you could use the select node. Maybe you could choose multiple colors. I don't know. I haven't tried it. Let's do select. Can you choose multiple colors? Oh yeah, so if you have multiple colors, you could choose a select node. But getting the wild card is weird because you can't plug in your progress bar because there's an infinite amount of numbers that you could have in your progress bar float number here. So you would want to do some sort of like Boolean logic where you're saying, okay, is it greater than or less than 0.1 or 0.2? Actually, maybe we'll do that here in a second, but let's save that for after. Let's plug this in and let's just say if it's less than 0.5, it's going to be red. And if it's above 0.5, it's going to be green. And then all we have to do here is do that same sort of Boolean logic I was talking about. So we're going to say if it's above, let's say above, it's going to be green. Actually, this is supposed to be less than. Let's do less than 0.5. I think I did the logic right. Yep, you see it's red, and now it just turns green. So yeah, you could do that. But like I also just realized, I didn't even plan this when I was planning out the video. If you do the select color here and we do Booleans, you could do multiple. Here, let me look at this. I'm making this up as we go. Select, you could add more pins. Can you use Booleans? No, the Boolean is only giving you true or false. So you would want to do some sort of branch logic here. So if we wanted to say we have like green at the beginning, we can have yellow in the middle, and we can have red at the lower end. So we could say, okay, if it's less than let's say 0.3, I think it would actually be easier at this point to do a branch here and just do multiple. For this one, we would just do multiple of these. We just do 3 of these. That's going to be easier at this point in time. And so we're going to say, okay, it's going to be red if it's below 3. And if not, then we're going to see, is it below 0.5? Oh no, sorry, let's do 0.65 or something like that. So now we're gonna say, is it below 0.65? And if it is, that means it's above 3, but below 0.65. We're gonna make that yellow. And then outside of that, we just assume that it is above 0.65, which we're just gonna make green. There you go. Figuring stuff out on the fly. See, it starts as red, it already goes to yellow, and then it turns to green. So you could do as many of those as you wanted. Maybe there's a different way to do this. I just made this last option. The first 2 solutions I made up before I clicked record. This one I just made up on the go. Let me know if there's another way that you would go about doing this, where you could select multiple colors based off of some sort of a float value. But yeah, anyway, you can change these colors. Again, this doesn't have to be just a progress bar. This just seems to be the most widely used way that you could actually go about doing this. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you so much for your time. This is Hipster George Washington, Hipster Codes, and we'll see you next week. Take care.